A very good evening to one and all. I'm Faizan Qureshi from third year IT department. The alumni base of VESIT has grown and reached different parts of the world. So in these difficult times, we have VReach, which is a VESIT alumni engagement initiative that aims at reaching out to the alumni and enables sharing of their knowledge and experience with students of VESIT. So to flag start, I would now invite Mrs. Smita Jangule, Deputy HOD, IT Department.
A very good evening to all. On behalf of VESIT IQAC and VESIT IIC, I welcome all students, faculty and alumni to today's VReach webinar. VESIT alumni base has grown immensely over the years, and we are very proud to see that our students are doing very well globally. The VReach event, as we have experienced, aims at establishing a special relationship between students, faculty and our alumni who have graduated and established themselves globally. It is also an ideal platform for you to revive the bond with your peers and teachers. Today, we have with us Anvay Akhte, our alumnus of 2015 batch of the Information Technology Department. I feel very happy and proud to welcome him to today's session. Anvay's topic for today's webinar is MS or MBA? Does the choice matter? QS ranking, RA, TA, internships abroad. Anvay will enlighten you on his journey from VESIT to Trinity Business School, Dublin, Ireland, where he is pursuing his Masters in Management. He will also discuss on why and how to choose between MS and MBA, the pros and cons of an international experience, how to select a university and course, and the entry-level requirements. I'm sure you all will gain a lot from his guidance and advice in planning your dream career of studying abroad. Once again, I welcome you all to today's VReach program.
Thank you, Smita ma'am. Every year, around 1.5 million engineering students graduate in India. Many of them have been brainwashed by the society, thinking that an engineering degree will ensure a great job, high salary, exotic vacations, and international travel opportunities. But that wasn't meant to be. People start asking, what do you plan to do after engineering? MS, MTech, or MBA? With the number of career options available today, we can become trapped in a self-imposed prison of career advice from different people around us. So, to share his knowledge, we have with us Mr. Anvay Akhte, who's from 2015 batch of IT department. Mr. Akhte is an engineering graduate currently pursuing a Masters in Management from Trinity College, Dublin. He has worked with Accenture for 2 years as an application development analyst as well as an associate software engineer. He was the product owner for a $20 billion B2B sales application for Dell and worked on the application performance improvement of ERP systems. He has also successfully led the delivery of 3 projects based on SAP and cloud platforms, from conception to launch. Mr. Akhte is a certified Scrum Product Owner, CSPO, and a certified Scrum Master, which is CSM. He is also a recipient of the Dell Champion Award 2019, which is an award recognizing the top 15% performers across Dell globally. Mr. Akhte is a member of the Harvard Business Review Ascent Select and also an active participant in research projects. So now, without further ado, let's invite the speaker for today's session, Mr. Anvay Akhte.
Hey folks, good evening. I'm Anvay and I'm currently pursuing my Masters in Management from Trinity College, Dublin. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you to this session on pursuing your Masters or MBA from abroad. Without any further delay, let's get started with it. So here's the agenda for the day. I'll kick the session off by a brief introduction about my journey from VESIT to being a postgraduate student at Trinity College Dublin. I'll talk about what exactly is the MSc program, what exactly is MBA/MIM, what are the key differences between doing an MBA and an MIM degree. Later on, I'll talk about the international experience. I'll share the pros and cons of doing a master's or an MBA program from abroad. I will then share the factors which I considered before I selected my university and my course, and we'll wrap the session up through a Q&A session. So here's the snapshot of my journey so far. I'm a 2015 passed out from VESIT. I did my undergrad in information technology. I joined Accenture after completing my undergrad, and I worked with Accenture for 2 years. So it was an application development and application support project for Delhi MC. In 2017, I made the move to Delhi MC Bangalore. I worked as a senior business analyst and a product owner for Delhi MC on their enterprise sales applications. In 2019, I decided to pursue my master's and take a break from work. I made the move to Dublin, Ireland, where I joined Trinity Business School, and I'm currently pursuing my master's in management. As of today, I'm done with all the taught modules for my master's program, and I'm working on my master's thesis. So it's a research project that I'm working on. The research is on the Scrum framework in Agile project management. So what is the master's program all about? It's basically a degree which is awarded for completing a graduate level study in one of the STEM fields. It's not just limited to STEM fields, you can also pursue a degree in medicine, but given the scope of this session, I believe we just focus on the STEM fields. Typically, the MSc program lasts for around 18 to 24 months. Candidates have a wide palette of subjects to choose from. Again, this is dependent on the country and the university that you're pursuing your master's from. So some programs in Europe offer the master's degree as a 10-month or a 12-month program, and you have a wide variety of electives to choose from. Most programs require you to work on a research project or a master's thesis, while some will let you work on an internship. So again, it depends on the university and the country you choose to do your master's from. Now, one of the good things of pursuing your master's is work experience is generally not a prerequisite for enrolling into an MS degree, unlike the MBA, which requires a certain bit of work experience. So who should take up the master's program? So if you want to develop a deeper understanding or a deeper technical understanding on some topic, or if you want to do an advanced study in a particular domain or a discipline, MSc is for you. MSc programs are also for those who want to switch their career paths. So if you're looking at someone like me who's done his undergrad in IT, but is now focused on business management, so that is where MSc programs come into play. Most common MSc programs, again, these are not, the list is pretty exhaustive and not limited to 3 programs that I've given here, but the MSc programs in computers and engineering, electrical engineering, and MIS, or the Masters of Science in Information Systems, these 3 are the very common programs that are pursued by candidates. If you're looking on to the management side of things, there's master's program in management, international management, finance, financial risk management, operations and supply chain, human resource management. So master's program are available in both the STEM fields as well as the business management domains. Moving on, so what's an MBA all about? It's a business management related degree with specializations in fields such as accounting, financial management, financial risk management, operations and supply chain, human resource management, and the list again goes on and on. Typically, MBA programs are for 24 months. Some schools offer it as a 12-month intensive program as well. So if you're looking at MBA programs in Ireland, they are offered as a 12-month intensive programs. So MBAs are usually pursued by experienced graduates. Some schools also require the candidates to have at least 3 or more years of work experience. So that's a certain limitation of pursuing your master's or an MBA abroad. if you don't have that experience, that amount of experience, but are still interested in doing a master's in business management, then that's MIM for you. So MIM is the younger sibling of MBA, which has its origins in Europe. Typically, it lasts for 10 months. It's a really intensive program, one that I'm pursuing right now. So we have a program structured as 3 semesters. So the first 2 semesters are taught modules. We have 6 different modules each semester. And the final semester is your master's project, or the thesis, as they say. Most common MBA programs are human resources, marketing, digital marketing, operations, supply chain. But again, the list is exhaustive, and these are just the 3 common programs which are pursued by candidates. So I'll spend some more time on understanding the differences on doing an MBA and an MIN. So like I said, MBA is more for the experienced professionals who have around 3 or 4 years, or more than 3 or 4 years of work experience on business-related areas. MIM, on the other hand, is targeted towards recent graduates, or the ones who have limited work experience in the business areas. The applicant age for an MBA program is, the average age range is around 27 years. The age range of the entire class varies from 25 to 32 years. So the work experience factor is pretty relevant through these numbers. On the other hand, the average age is 23 years, whereas the entire class range is 21 to 25 years. There's a significant bit of difference in the way of teaching for an MBA and an MIM program. MBA program, it's more of practical based. So I have a couple of friends doing an MBA program who tell me that they have a lot of company projects, practical assignments that they need to deliver as a part of their program. MIM, on the other hand, it's more theoretical based. So you've got to review a lot of literature, read a lot of research papers, blogs, articles, books. So more on the theoretical side of things. The curriculum goal for MBA is getting specialized knowledge in business areas. For MIM, it's more about building a foundation for business areas. So particularly for doing an MIM now, since that I'm pursuing an MIM, the diversity that you see in the class is huge. So I have friends who had their undergrad in sales, who had their undergrad in commerce, finance. So there's a wide variety, and that is where the theoretical aspect comes into play. It aims to build a foundation in different business areas. The tuition fees for doing an MBA, it's high. So some universities command upwards in $100,000. If you are particularly looking at doing an MBA from Trinity, it costs you around 40,000 euros. On the other hand, will cost you half of what an MBA does. So at Trinity, I think MIM will cost you around 21,000 euros. The opportunities once you do your MBA will be the mid-level positions. So you could look at positions such as associate manager, senior consultants, advisors, after you do your MBA. MIM, on the other hand, will give you entry-level positions into the business management areas. So you could be a PA, you could be a junior PM, depending on where your interests lie. The salary that you can command after you do an MBA is pretty high. So it's somewhere around the range of 80,000 or 90,000 euros. On the other hand, will give you comparatively lower salaries. So you can think of commanding around 30,000 to 50,000 odd euros in salary after you do your MIM. Moving on to the international experience, I'll talk about the pros of doing your master's from abroad. So one of the advantages which I felt doing my master's from Trinity was the global faculty that you have at these universities. So I had lecturers from all over the globe. I had lecturers coming in from APAC region. I had some of my professors from Germany. Most of them were from Ireland. I also had one visiting professor from MIT. So you have a global faculty delivering all the modules to you. Now, the good thing about having a global faculty is they have a wide variety of experience. So one of my professors initially worked as a senior consultant with an FM FMCG company. So there's a different experience that he brought onto the table when it came to delivering the modules. So global faculty, I think it overall helps build your knowledge in one particular business area. Then there's the diversity among the students. So, like I said, most of my class comes from a diverse background, not just diverse nationalities. So, I've got friends who've done their undergrad in literature. They have studied languages. Some of them have had their undergrad in law. There's someone who's done in politics. So there's wide diversity that you will find in your classroom. And again, it helps because you've got a wide variety of subjects when you do your master's. So in my case, I'm doing a master's in business management. So I have modules like business ethics, psychology. So, coming together of different background really helps when you do your group assignments and group projects. The next one I would say is the choice of electives. Most universities offer you to choose your subjects when it comes to, making those 6 modules for one semester. So the advantage of doing it is you don't have to force yourself to study something which you don't find your interests to be aligned with. Then there's plenty of resources. So you'll get lots of online and offline resources available to you. Then again, these universities have tie-ups with other universities, both local and national. So this exchange of ideas, you get to participate in a lot of competitions. So it's going to be a resourceful experience if you're thinking about doing your master's from abroad. And last but not the least, you will have better networking and global opportunities if you do your master's from abroad. So and that is again where the diversity comes into play, because interacting with different individuals from different backgrounds, different nationalities will only improve your communication skills and help you make better connections. So overall, I think the international experience will aid in opening the global opportunities for you. Now, there's also some cons which could be related to doing your master's from abroad. The first one is the language barriers. So if you are thinking to do your master's from a country like France or Germany, it's pretty advisable that you have at least a fair bit of understanding of of their language. That could be French and German. Then there's also some culture shock that you might get once you start living in those countries, even in Ireland for that matter. So when I first moved to Ireland, I think the biggest culture shock that I got was you'll barely find someone on the streets after 6 or 6:30 in the evening. And the other thing was it's always windy and raining in Dublin. So the days are again short. So it's a completely different experience to the one that you might have living in India. The second bit of difference would be you'll have to start everything from scratch. You'll be on your own unless you have someone staying there. That could be your relatives or your seniors or friends. But if you're on your own, you have to be mentally prepared. You're going to take care of your household costs. You've got to take care of your studies. So it's a different task. It's a different environment that you will have once you move abroad. And last but not the least, it's again, like I said, it comes at a premium. So if you're doing an MBA, it's going to cost you just around 40,000 euros in tuition fees. And again, I'm not even involved the other financials like the cost of living abroad, your daily expenses, the visa fees, and all those things. So overall, I think if you're looking to do an MBA, it will cost you around upwards of 55,000 euros. And if you're thinking to do an MIM, it's going to cost you around 35,000. So again, it's coming at a premium price. So you've got to be prepared for it. Then there's COVID-19 specific drawbacks if you are thinking to pursue your master's in the near future. So the economies are opening up, but the travel restrictions are still in place. So you've got to consider that. Then there's also delays in visa processing, and your visa could take a couple of months before it actually gets processed. Due to COVID, again, some universities have moved on their the first semester to the virtual learning experience. So I personally know that Trinity has moved the first semester into an online learning environment. So there will no longer be physical classes. So that's something new. And again, if you are doing your masters, I would personally say that learn it in a physical environment, because it's a different environment. It's a different scenario where you interact with each other physically, rather than doing it online. And last but not the least is the rising unemployment rates. The tourism industry, the hospitality industry is the worst hit due to COVID-19. But no one can predict how things will turn up in the near future. So again, the unemployment scenario is something which you have to think before you pursue your masters. Think about the return on investment that you will get after you're done with your masters. So this is probably the most important slide that you guys should focus upon. Selecting your university/course. So these are some of the factors which I considered before I made my decision to go to Trinity. So the first and the most important factor is the course structure. So like I said, most universities here have give you the flexibility to choose your modules. Obviously, they have the core modules which are mandatory, and then there's other modules which are optional. So think about the flexibility of the course. Again, it's the most courses over here are spread across 3 semesters. They're really intensive courses, but if you're looking at a country like France, it offers you the same course for a period of 24 months. So think about the masters from that perspective as well. The flexibility, the course structure, the course duration, all those sort of things. The next important factor would be the budget. So if you're looking at pursuing your masters from abroad, you're thinking of doing a masters, it will cost you around 20,000 euros just in tuition fees. If it's an MBA, it will cost you around 40,000 euros just in tuition fees for a single year. Now that is if you exclude the expenses for your living, the living costs, the accommodation costs, the visa processing fees, the airline tickets, insurance costs, and all those things. So, have a rough estimate of all these factors and prepare your budget well in advance, so that you get sufficient time to think on planning to fund your masters. Look at the diversity that the school has to offer, both in terms of your professors and also how varied your class is. The more the diversity, the more the merrier, to be very honest, because you get to engage in meaningful sessions, and there's different viewpoints which are posed by different individuals, which really help. And again, if you're doing something which is different than what you did in your undergrad, it is really important, because from my personal experience, I did my undergrad in IT. I then currently I'm doing my master's in business management. So I had modules like finance, human resources, business ethics, so which were completely new to me, and I required some bit of help apart from the ones that was provided by the lecturers and the professors. So the diversity comes into play, and it really helps you in developing skills, understanding things in a better way. There's course and university rankings. So if you're thinking of coming to Europe or any American institute, the QS rankings and FT rankings are reliable. Every year, these websites, they publish the results of the top 100 and top 200 universities, so you get a fair bit of idea how things would be in these universities. Then there's also the opportunities like internships, RAs and TAs that I would be looking at if I were to do my master's at a particular university. Now again, if your course is for 1 year, you might not have RA and TA opportunities. It will just be limited to internships, which you could pursue in your 3rd semester. So again, that is the flexibility factor which comes into play. Then there's visa restrictions. So one of the reasons why I chose Ireland to study my master's was the student visa offers you to work up to 20 hours during the coursework. So you can take up any part-time opportunities up to 20 hours. The base pay is around 10 euros to 12 euros. So even if you work 20 hours a week, you're going to get paid around 200 euros. So that converts to an 800 euro per month. Now that 800 euro is sufficient to cover your living expenses and also some bit of your daily expenses. And this is again scaled up to 40 hours during your vacation term. So different countries will have different visa restrictions, different visa guidelines, rules for a student visa. So think about the visa restrictions before you choose your university and before you choose your country. Next up would be the local job market. Ireland is booming these days, mostly because most headquarters are based in Ireland. Accenture's headquarter is based just right next to the campus, I would say. It's about 10 minutes or 15 minutes walk based at the Dublin Docklands. So there's a booming IT market, one which I see working myself after the completion of my master's. So again, you have to think of the local job market if you're thinking of pursuing your master's abroad. Now, one thing which I would recommend you to consider is probably prefer doing your master's in an English-speaking country, because once you graduate, it's comparatively easier to find a job rather than, if you think about pursuing your master's from a country like France or Germany, where there are a certain bit of language restrictions. Now, it's a completely different story if you know French or German. But my advice would be think of doing your master's in an English-speaking country, unless you know the foreign languages. Then there's language barriers, which I discussed earlier. Next up would be the career development services. Now again, this is a huge change from what you have in India. So in India, mostly all colleges have the placement cell, which invite companies to the campus to offer jobs to the candidates. But this is completely different in any university across Europe. So they have a thing called as career development services, which will guide you on your CVs, resumes, cover letters, and they'll also invite recruiters to give a session on what type of job openings they have. But they won't call the recruiters for placements as such. It is completely independent activity, and you will have to apply for jobs on your own outside the campus. So it's a huge difference in terms of pursuing your education abroad versus pursuing your education in India. And last but not the least, think about the alumni network. I would say visit LinkedIn, look at what their alumni is doing right now, because that gives you a fair bit of understanding on what sort of roles you could expect post the completion of your master's. And another bit of the positive of looking at the alumni is you get an idea of what sort of industry they are working in, and that gives you a fair bit of idea of the future. So have a look at the alumni network. Now again, the list is pretty exhaustive and not just limited to these factors. There will be many other factors as well which you could consider, but these are the top factors which I considered and which really. So here's my advice if you're thinking to your master's from abroad. My first bit of advice would be start early. You'll have to spend a lot of hours studying for your GMAT, GRE, because the scores are really important when you are applying for a university which is abroad. TOEFL, IELTS, the English language requirements, you'll have to get at least 100 on your TOEFL. IELTS, I'm not pretty sure what's the minimum requirement, but the English language tests are on the easier side. So I personally remember myself studying for 2 or 3 days for TOEFL, and I got a good score. Spend some time thinking about the finances, how you're going to plan sponsoring yourself once you're abroad. Think about all the different factors like living expenses, accommodation costs, insurance costs, plane tickets, visa processing fees, miscellaneous expenditures, all those sort of things. I will say plan for a budget which is around 1.5 times more than what is your actual cost. So if you're rough estimate comes to be around, let's say, 30,000 euros. Plan for 35,000 euros. Have that extra 5,000 euros buffer just in case. Spend some quality time on the application essays. So most universities will have questions like, why do you want to pursue this course from this university? Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now on? So questions on those lines. So you'll have to spend considerable amount of time on your application essays, and obviously work on your CVs / resumes. So there's a particular format for your CVs if you are applying to universities in Ireland. Also the job market as well. So make sure that your CVs are ATS compliant. You can Google it to get more information on the CVs or the resume format. Next bit of advice would be research. Again, the entire goal of doing masters is to get good knowledge and to build a career for yourself. So don't expect people to hand over things to you on a silver platter. There will not be any spoon feeding. You'll have to find out things on your own. You'll have to talk to people. You'll have to make connections. You'll have to write emails to different connections as well. So do your own research. Network. Like I said, alumni are an important source of information. I think when I was finding things, I was just doing my research on Trinity and my particular course. I found out through LinkedIn that one of my friends was actually studying at Trinity, but although in a different course. So I spoke to him. I got to know a bit about the university. I got to know about how things are in Ireland, how things are in Dublin, to be honest, in particular. And he helped me finding a contact at my course who was a friend of his. So networking helps you with information that you might not have reading blogs or reading articles or anything which is published on the official websites. Build your skill set, have an all-round profile. Remember one thing: if you're coming abroad, universities here expect you to be multi-dimensional, multi-talented. So don't just focus on the academic skills. Participate in extracurricular activities that will help you. If there's some certifications which you think will add value to your profile, do them. Think of it as an investment that you're making for your long term. Attend education fairs. Now, this is another important thing which I would strongly recommend. At least if you're thinking of pursuing your master's in Ireland or somewhere like France, because when I was applying for universities, these were the two countries which I targeted. So most universities in Ireland and France will visit places in India. They will organize education fairs, at least in the metropolitan cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata. So you get a one-on-one opportunity to interact with the representatives from such colleges. You get to talk about how life is. You can ask your queries. You can ask for their help or their advice on the application process. So it's a really important a decision which I won't say a decision. It's really important that you attend these education fairs so that you get the maximum information. Again, there's virtual internships which you can think of doing. Now, probably you must be in your second or third years, so there's not much responsibility on your shoulders right now. So virtual internships, which are usually free, are a good source of building your skills, getting to know what work is, what it is like working in that particular industry. So there's a platform called as Inside Sherpa. Inside Sherpa has a tie-up with different companies, and they have different courses. So I particularly know courses in investment banking, consulting, tech consulting, risk management. So do those internships, not for the sake of getting paid, but for getting good knowledge. And last but not the least, I will strongly recommend avoid plagiarizing things. Now, this is something which is completely different from what we have worked upon in India. So in India, we usually refer lots of resources. We just copy paste and not give credit. So basically, plagiarism in simple terms is using the work of another author without giving him due credit for his or her work. So that's basically what is plagiarism. Now, plagiarism here in Ireland is a crime. It won't be an issue if you submit your assignment a bit late or if you miss a class. But if you are found plagiarizing things, you might get kicked out from this university. There's different levels of plagiarizing things. So the minimum level is for a postgraduate student, obviously, is getting a written notice, which will be reflected in your scorecard that you were found plagiarizing. And the highest level is you being kicked out of the university. So avoid plagiarizing things. Give due credit to authors where you have referred to his or her work. And, develop your writing skills, develop your reading skills, have a critical thinking developed. So yeah, that would be my advice. Yeah, so that's it. That's it for now. So with this, we've come to the end of the presentation. I'd like to wish you good luck if you are thinking to pursue your master's or an MBA. Also, I wish you good luck for your exams if you have one at the moment. We'll begin our Q&A session shortly, and I'll make the best possible effort to answer all your queries. If I don't have an answer to your query at the moment, I will get back to you on it. And if we run short of time for your Q&A sessions, please feel free to email me or connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Welcome, Anwar. I cannot begin to express how detailed and insightful presentation that was. We are delighted to have you as part of VReach. Our viewers have a few queries that they would want you to answer. So let's begin the Q&A session.
Sure.
First up, we have Pooja Prasad. She's asking, like MBA, can one do specialization in the desired field in Masters in Management?
So Masters in Management is a separate course. So it's basically a foundational course in business management. So if you're taking up MIM, as they say, so you'll have courses on, or rather modules on finance, HRM, business ethics, psychology. So there's different sorts of field that will be involved in MIM. But if you're looking out for a particular specialization, there will be different masters. So it could be masters in marketing, digital marketing. So they are offered as separate master's program. So it's two different things and not one thing as such.
Okay, so like, what do you think are the trending specializations currently? Like, what are people trying to do currently?
I think it's more into marketing, digital marketing, obviously supply chains as well. So, considering the entire COVID situation, I think personally, I feel that digital marketing is something which is going to trend a lot. And obviously, then there's technical courses in blockchain and all those technical line of things. So, yeah, I think these are the most pursued ones as of date.
Okay, wonderful. So next up, we have Harsh Jain asking, are there scholarships been awarded to students in foreign universities?
Absolutely. I mean, each university has certain scholarships available. Again, it's specific to the university, so I cannot give you a common answer to that question. But if you're looking out for scholarships that you can apply when you are in India, there's one by JRN Tata, and there's Charpak scholarships available. If you're looking out for scholarships in France, there's one by Campus France, I believe. So yeah, I think there's obviously scholarships available. But having said that, the number of applicants for those scholarships is also high. So you'll really have to pull yourself when you write down the application for the scholarship.
Okay, good, thanks. So as you said, it's a good competition if at all you want to apply for that scholarship as such. So next up we have Sparsh Prabhakar. He's asking that what would be your recommendation to students whether they should have work experience or should they directly think of trying for MIM just after their BTech?
Um, it depends on country to country. So if you are thinking to come to Ireland for your masters, there's two type of work opportunities available post your masters as such. So one will be the graduate role, and other will be the work experience role. Now the problem with the graduate role is the number of graduate roles available after you complete your masters is limited, whereas the work experience role, the quantity is more. So let's say if you don't have a work experience after you are done with your bachelor's, you are going to be competing more towards the end of your masters if you don't have a work experience. On the other hand, if you complete your bachelor's and have a 3 or 4 year work experience, it might help you after you're done with your masters. So again, it's completely case to case basis, I would say. And yeah, it's your choice at the end of the day.
Okay, that was very informative. And well, so now a question from my side. What would be the job opportunities according to you for a student after he returned back to India after doing MIM abroad?
Again, it's a global degree. It's a master's degree that you're going to get. So once you return to India, if you are an experienced individual, you could definitely see working as a consultant or senior consultant. If you're a fresh graduate who's done his master's, who has around 0 to 2 years of work experience, you can imagine working as a management trainee, or start off as an intern and then progress gradually up the ladder. So it all depends on your background, what skills you've developed, and how do you approach the job market.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Andres. So next question is, will it be advisable that Ajay Khalsa is asking this question, that will it be advisable that he gives GMAT during his final year in Tech so that he qualifies for MIM?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no good time or bad time as such to start working on your GMAT. Obviously, there's a thing that you've got to give devote time to studying GMAT. So if you ask me, I personally started studying for CAT and GMAT in my third year, and I did not wait till my fourth year. So there's no good time as such. Obviously, qualifying is a different question, whether your score qualifies for a particular MIM program. So each and every school has its requirements for the MIM program. There will be a particular score that they will want. So let's say if you're talking about Trinity, somewhere around the lines of 600, 650 is what they might expect. But again, it depends on your profile. So if it's a good profile, they might just waive off your GMAT score as well. So again, case by case basis.
Okay, so I have this question that can one try to get into MIM by applying for GRE as well?
Yes, I think most schools these days they accept GRE/GMAT scores, so you can definitely try going that way or that path. I personally went through the GMAT TOEFL path, but let's say if you're not comfortable with one of those exams, right? If you're comfortable with GRE, you can write GRE and you can apply. Same with TOEFL and IELTS.
Okay. Thank you, Andre. So, as you said, you are about to complete your degree in
Yeah.
Trinity University, Dublin. So, what do you think are the major differences you came across in the academic structure in Europe as compared to that of India's?
I think there's wholesale changes, to be honest. So I think the first thing is obviously the academic integrity, or avoiding the plagiarism thing, which is not what you see in India, at least not during my time in India. And the other thing is you're graded throughout the year, not just coming to the end of the year. So you'll have individual assignments, you'll have case studies, you'll have group assignments. As a matter of fact, when I first joined Trinity, 2 weeks before I had my first lecture, I got my reading list. So basically, before the lecture, you've got to prepare for the lecture. You'll have a couple of chapters from different textbooks that you're required to read. And I was like, okay, I read all those chapters. I went to the first lecture. The first thing the professor says is, okay, log into this link. There's a quiz for you. And we were like, okay, this is something new. And we gave the quiz, and at the end of it, he says, okay, this accounts for 10% of your overall grades at the end of the semester. So it's pretty active, it's pretty lively, the academic curriculum over there. You've got to stay active, you've got to be on your feet. and there's a lot of hard work if you go down that path for your masters.
Okay. So now some informal questions.
Yeah.
How was your VESIT experience? Like, what are those memories which you remember the most about VESIT?
Um, there's lots of memories as such. I think the one most uh, common memory that I can think of is I was a part of the placement cell, and the common thing was we used to stay late in college, attend all those, manage all those placement sessions. So that's one of the greatest memories that I can have from VESIT. And again, it helped me develop my overall profile. Both the personal profile as well. Interacting with a lot of companies, a lot of reps, all those things.
So the placement coordinators currently might be so happy listening to that it's quite helpful now.
Yeah.
So there's this question coming from Rohit Kundani. He's asking, in today's scenario, what would be more ideal, MBA or MS?
It's again, so for an MBA, if you're thinking of doing an MBA abroad, you usually will require a work experience. So if you are patient enough to do a job in India and then go abroad, MBA might be the option. Again, if you're looking at technical side of things, MS is the path to go down. And if you're looking at the management side of things, there's MIM if you want to go right away. If you are ready to wait for a few years, build your work experience, MBA is the path to go.
Okay, thanks, Amber. So the next question is from Aditya Khomane. He's asking, taking the COVID-19 pandemic into account, what would be your opinion on whether when should one think of going for MS or MBA after UG?
So I think if you are into your third year right now, so you still have a year to go, right? And COVID is something which is not going to last forever, obviously. So I see myself like if you are into your final year this semester or this year, you can start preparing for your masters if that's the need. The job market is a bit risky for now. It's a bit shaky, I would say. So 1 year down the line is a good time to go for your masters or studying abroad.
Okay. Okay. So the next question is, what is the scenario for pursuing MS in electronics in Ireland?
Again, it's a bit specific to the domain. You might have to do a research on your own. What I can do is if you can reach out on LinkedIn or email, I can try helping you connect with someone who's come that path or who is doing a master's in electronics engineering.
Okay, so that question was from Mihir Bhagwat. I had this question. Currently, I'm in IT engineering, so third year. So if at all there comes a time I realize that technical thing is not for me, and I am interested in doing something operations, human resources, etc. So do you think as soon as the BTech is over, should I try for GMAT and then go for MIM?
Yeah, I think that was my story, honestly speaking, because when I graduated, I was more into the software and tech side of things with Accenture. But later on, I realized that, okay, it's not something which I see myself doing down the line. I would want to be on the functional side or the PA side of things, and which is why I worked with Dell for 2 years, right? Um, it depends if you want to do that, if interest change over time. So if you are willing to invest time working in the IT industry, gaining experience on tech or non-tech side of things, and then do your master, that's fine. If you want to do it right after your undergrad, even that's an option to go.
Okay, thank you so much. So the next coming up question is from Yash Desai. He's asking, is US really the best for MS in data science?
Maybe I won't say I have a definite answer for that. As a matter of fact, I never considered US or Canada when I was applying for masters. My intent was on Europe. Again, I'm not someone who will say Ireland is the best choice. There might be other countries who are better suited at data science, but yeah, I've got a couple of friends who are pursuing their masters in data analytics, data science, and all those tech side of things. So there's a good amount of opportunities in Ireland, but this is something I cannot guarantee given how COVID shapes up things.
Okay. So like while you were trying to fill your MIM application, what were those top colleges you were looking for, like to get into?
So I actually was targeting universities in France and Ireland, obviously because they give you 2 years stay back option after you complete your postgrad. So what I did was I shortlisted 10 universities. I divided them into ambitious universities and universities where I'll definitely get into. So Trinity was one of my ambitious universities, obviously in Ireland because it's the number one university here. And then I was looking at universities in France. So there was HEC Paris, there was ESCP Europe. There's lots of other universities as well. So those universities that I was targeting. And yeah, at the end of the day, I got selected in 4 universities, but I felt Trinity was the best possible choice for me. And obviously, like I said, it's an English speaking country, the job market's good. So yeah, I think all those adds up together.
So as you said in the presentation, like the language barriers also should be considered.
Yeah.
Okay, so any preparation advice for students who are currently in their second year, like they've just gotten into the department? So any advice for them?
I think second year is a bit early, but you've got to know what you are interested in. So, are you into the tech side of things? Are you into the business side of things? But I would say it's good time to research. Keep your options open, be it tech or non-tech. Try finding out the universities that you might be interested in pursuing your masters or an MBA. And yeah, I think that's most about it.
Okay, so a personal question: when you came to Ireland, Dublin, so what were those starting difficulties you faced during the starting days?
Um, I think it was the darkness. It gets so Ireland is a bit windy, chilly, and it rains all the time. The sunlight is not there, so if you get up at 9 in the morning, it feels like it's like 2 or 3 a.m. in India. It's that dark. And if you look at the evening, so let's say if you want to take a walk at around 6 or 7 on the streets, it's all deserted. So it's completely different. People like to spend times with their families, and those are the sort of the culture shock that they come into play.
Okay. So there were some difficulties, and now you're completely comfortable. It seems there in Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you get used to things. Again, I have a couple of friends who already are based in Ireland, so that they obviously helped me a lot. But it's just getting used to things the way they are in that particular country.
Okay, so Mihir Bhagwat has a question. He's asking, can you please tell him the citizenship status after completing your masters? Like,
It depends on country to country, right? So if you're looking for, a citizenship, you've got to wait for I think 5 or 7 years in total. So that does not count the graduate years or the years that you spend on the student visa. So based on country, it depends. I cannot say that you'll get a citizenship in 5 years. So there's different factors that you need to think about it.
so what's the condition in Ireland? Like?
I think it's 5 or 7 years. I haven't seen Ireland from that perspective. My immediate goal is, just complete my graduation, get used to the IT industry over here, and then think about the long-term one. But I think it's 5 or 7 years after you complete your graduation.
Okay, thank you, Anand. A next question coming up is from Yash Desai. He's asking, are there any online courses which we can complete in lockdown for MBA? Also, he asked, like something which may help him in any preparation for CAT or for something in his career.
I think there's lots of free resources available because of COVID-19. So I don't think there's a specific course if you are interested in doing an MBA, but there's a lot of virtual internships. So I personally know Inside Sherpa. That's a platform where companies have their virtual internship sort of experience. And again, then there's different. So there's Project Management Institute, which has made a couple of courses free. So yeah, there's lots of resources available out there, depending on what you're interested in. Just Google it. And as far as CAT goes, I am not used to CAT right now because it's been like 3 or 4 years that I've passed out and done all these things. But yeah, I'll definitely recommend checking out IMS Space and all those coaching classes if they are giving some free resources. Mostly they might, so just head out and check, or ask someone who's recently placed into IIM or IMBs. They might be able to help you out with that.
Okay, no, as you mentioned in your video, like Inside Sherpa is one of those sites.
Yeah.
Okay, so the coming up question is from Kanaya Kanabar. He's asking, how can MBA help an IT student?
I mean, depends. I mean, if you are, so MBA is a bit of the specialized thing, you're doing it in IB, you're doing it in human resources. So if you, let's say, if you're working in the IT industry, if you have application development background, and then you can, you're transitioning into the business side of things. So you can portray that as a picture that, okay, I started off my career with application development. So I have a fair bit of idea on the tech side of things. Now I'm done with my MBA, so I have an idea of the business management side of things. So it's at the end of the day, you're looking at managing teams, and it's not just the managerial skills that come into play. There will be technical skills, there will be team building skills, personal skills, that you're going to put into that organization.
Okay. So the next, I think so that's the concluding question. So this question is from Ashar Ansari. He's asking, what is the competition level for great scholarship for UK, and what is the selection procedure for the great scholarship?
I think the any scholarships that you apply, it's going to be competitive. So let's say if there's one application that's going to be selected, for that one application, you'll have 500 to 1,000 applicants who will also be applying. So it all depends on the overall application that you have put forward. When I say application, I mean your grades, your GMAT or your extracurricular scores, what activities you've worked upon. And they have something called as essays, like why do you want to apply for the scholarship, or why are you the best candidate for the scholarship. So it all depends on how you write those essays and put your application forward.
So according to you, then essays also play an important role in your application process.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think so. With this, we conclude our Q&A session. So thank you so much, Anvay, for addressing all those questions and providing some very insightful answers. So now I would request all the participants to kindly fill the feedback form provided in the description so as to receive the e-certificate for the session. For past sessions, if you missed us, you could visit VESIT's YouTube channel, and also for upcoming event details, it can be found on VReach's website. With that, we come to an end of the webinar. I would like to thank all the participants who attended this very detailed session and made it successful with their presence. With this, I, Faizan Qureshi, would like to conclude this session and hereby take your leave. Have a great evening ahead.